jets today. Some of the reporters were in the plane. Were you in the plane as we were surrounded by 8 F-15s? You saw that? Were you concerned at all? It was a little bit spooky, right? It's a little bit different when I'm reading the name of the pilot from I'm saying the name, Rigraw. I look at his helmet. He's got his name and he's waving to us and he's like where you are. And so I'm not sure I feel great about it, but we certainly had a lot of firepower surrounding and as we were coming in, it was beautiful. And then just before we landed, whoop, they took off and nobody's ever seen it. They circled the plane, 8 of them. And we're landing, so now we're there. And it was really a display of beauty. And we heard it too. We were in the plane. I said, what is that? Because they stepped on the gas, because it's hard for them to only go 500 miles an hour. That's called very slow. It's not that those planes they're not meant to go 500 miles an hour, but it's really good. Great pilots, great display. So we're going to see that. But one of the things for the people that are interested in the military that I asked to look into, the F-35, we're doing an upgrade, a simple upgrade, but we're also doing an F-55. I'm going to call it an F-55, and that's going to be a substantial upgrade, but it's going to be also with 2 engines because the F-35 has a single engine. I don't like single engines. Even this man, he's the best in the world at engines, but on occasion, I know you won't admit this, if an engine goes out, it's nice to have 2, 3, or 4. That's why I like the 747. It's got 4. And but today they're getting very big, and it's a little more cost-saving to have 2 very, very big ones. But no matter how good, they tell me, Larry, the engine will never go out. Well, I think it goes out on occasion, very rarely. And we're going to do an F-55, and I think if we get the right price, we have to get the right price, and that'll be 2 engines and a super upgrade on the F-35. And then we're going to do the F-22. I think the most beautiful fighter jet in the world is the F-22, but we're going to do an F-22 Super, and it'll be a very modern version of the F-22 fighter jet. And I don't know if you know it, but you know who copied it? China. They copied it. I said, I'm looking. They said, that's the F-22. They copied our design, but they won't be able to copy our engines too quickly or anything else. So we're going to be doing an F-22 Super, and this will be a plane like no. To me, it's the most beautiful fighter jet ever made, and so I want to do that. And sometimes, stealth. They do stealth. I'm not a huge believer in stealth because stealth is basically a lot of it's the design and the shape, and I'm sure you maybe think, but also if that's the case, they're going to figure it out pretty fast, I think. So you're going to design an ugly plane for stealth reasons, and then 6 months later, they're going to figure out this, and then you're stuck with a plane. Now we're doing a super F-22, and we're going to be going with it pretty quickly. And then, as I told you, we're going to be doing a tremendous variety of drones, from lots of very inexpensive drones, and on the F-55 and on the F-35, but much more on the F-55 and on your plane that you're doing, which he calls the F-47. F-47. I said, how'd you come up with 47? That's an interest. It was very nice, actually. But you said there's a tremendous capability for it. Travels with many, potentially hundreds of drones, right? Do you want to talk about that? Because it's very interesting to people.
Well, the F-47 is the first 6th generation fighter in the world. We're very excited to be developing that, and we'll be bringing that into production in the near future. There's not much I can say about that for security reasons, but we're very pleased to be in the development process of that airplane.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's got a beautiful weapon, as you say. We're also doing very heavy on submarines. We have a lead on submarines that I don't think, unless you have a really stupid group of people, including the president, I don't think anybody can catch us on submarines. We have our submarine, in particular the late model. We're 15 years advanced on the submarine. Nobody can even come close. It can stay underwater for 30 years. Think of it. The only reason it has to come up is for food. It doesn't need water because they have their system of water, which is they can stay forever. The only reason it has to come up is for food. Can you imagine? It could stay underwater for years, going at fast speeds, to very fast speeds, but has to come up once every couple of months for food. There's something about that. I don't know if we're going to be able to solve that problem, but hopefully it's not going to be a problem we have to worry about. But the submarine, we are so far advanced in the submarine. So we're very proud of it, and we've taken a country that was scoffed at, and we're the hottest country in the world right now. We're going to keep it that way. And just in finalizing that, the military was having 6 months ago, and you wrote about it, Jennifer, I saw an article, but the military was having a very hard time recruiting people, our military, and they were not able to meet even come close to their goals. That was only 6 months ago. And now, as you also have written, we have a military that we have so many people want to get in. We've never had anything. They say 30 years plus because they only go back, but probably ever. We have never had such excitement to join the military. So we went with a military that couldn't recruit very easily and was really way, way behind, to a military where we're actually picking the people we want. And it's very hard to get in. It's actually hard to get in. And that goes for the police force and the firefighters. I always mention the firefighters. They're incredible. But the police force and the firefighters, we're having a very hard time getting people to become policemen like we had never had before. That was 6 months ago, Biden, because the country had no spirit. It was like just had no heart. It was a dead heart. Now we have the liveliest heart you've ever seen. So I just think it's such a great contrast to think 6 months ago you couldn't get, and now we're setting records. Who would think that could have happened? Thank you very much, everybody.